Yeah, it's in comic book filter. Welcome to the most normal hotel room in America. Yes, this is how I'm doing our reading. I'm in California, where recreational and medicinal use of the plant called cannabis is legal. And we have a lot to talk about and a lot of energy to get through. And you know what? I could have spent 2 hours doing my face so I could have this conversation with you. But the conversation's more important, and you need this levity and this joy more than you need to look at me. So it's me under all this, and you know that, so let's just go with it, yeah? And the filter's just kind of nice because, I don't know, it's Cali. It is like a comic book out here, at least for me as a New Yorker. This place is bananas to me. Just the fact that I'm looking at palm trees. So cool. Like, New Yorkers don't need much, you know, we're impressed by the smallest thing. We're like, whoa, palm tree, get the fuck out of here. I feel like I'm in fucking Egypt, bruh. Mad ignorant. So, I couldn't do the reading before the full moon, just for my own, because of my own placements. There was no way that I could have had the clarity, you know, like, I needed to process my own emotions before I could do the larger job of processing my sun sign emotions, and my moon sign was having its full moon. So until that was done, there was no way that I would have any sort of clarity on us, because first I need clarity on my internal life. And my internal life, your moon sign, you can look at it this way. So your sun sign is like the sun. The sun is shining and you cannot hide it. Of course, there is a school of thought that is now emerging about there being a second sun. Anyway, that's for another time. But the sun is obvious to all, right? Your sun sign qualities are obvious to all. Your moon, like the moon, is that part of you that, like the moon, reveals itself only to those it wants to reveal itself to. It hides. It goes away, it comes back. It hides behind clouds. It goes here, it goes there, it shines there, it shines there. You can be under the same sky, under the same moon, and not see it the same way, because in one part of the sky, the moon was choosing to reveal itself to a certain person, to a certain energy. So the moon is how you feel. Not about the world, but about you in relation to the world. It's complicated. And having a Virgo moon is complicated. And having a Virgo moon with a full moon in Virgo is very, very complicated. And there's no way that I was going to do a reading for an incredibly complex and intelligent sign like Gemini while I was in the muck of that. I mean, you guys are too smart for that. You would have seen right through that and been like, this reading's trash. What's going on here? She's not even focused. What's she thinking about right now? Because she's not thinking about these cards. And I just, you know, I can never export a low quality product. It's just not in my, I just can't do it. I'd rather not do it. I'm not going to do that. So that brings me to why I'm dressed like this and what is going on with Gemini in March. What's going on is I'm in my onesie because I'm in a hotel in San Diego. And I'm here for 2 days. I flew in specifically yesterday to see Nassim Haramein speak here in Encinitas about the connected universe and his theory, which has a lot to do with fluid dynamics, which is something I'm deeply interested in. His work, the math and the science, is the skeletal structure of my book. My book being explanation of the major arcana tarot through narrative, through telling a story. So not like the insert you get in the back of the tarot cards where someone is saying this card means this card means that. I'm sure just about anyone can do that. Excuse me. अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आपने तो मुझे डरा ही दिया। तो कल जो आपको कॉल कर करके हम सारे थक गए, फिर उस बंदे को कॉल किया कि आपको देख के आए कि आप कहाँ हैं। अनु ने, हम एक दूसरे को कॉल कर रहे थे लाइक ओवर एंड ओवर अगेन कि क्या हुआ. So right when Virgo full moon, which is the full moon in our sector of family and, you know, home and your closest things, that's how Geminis behave about their family and their closest people. They behave like Virgos about them. Right when we had the full moon in that sector, my parents, on their anniversary, decided to get stuck upstate at their like winter house with no power and no way to get in contact with them, and no, the tower was down or whatever. So I had to go through that like full moon on that sector of my life while not knowing what was going on with my parents or where they were. And I'm actually pretty glad I'm here and that I was recording when I got the phone call that they're fine, because otherwise I think I would have like started crying and like panicked, and that would have like, you know, panicked them. But instead it turned into like a funny conversation with my mom like being like, oh my god, it was so horrible, it was so horrible, it was so horrible, and then my dad getting on the phone and being like, actually I made her a fire and I made her food and I made her chai and we had a really nice time. But I guess it was horrible. And then she was like, no, actually it was kind of nice. So yeah, so sorry about that. I'm sure you guys had maybe not a similar experience, but something that brought to the fore family, what they mean to us, how important they are, what it would be like if, God forbid, they were not around. But it also made us think about people who really shouldn't be around anymore, right? Literally said the word Medusa and the camera froze. Yes, I'm dressed like this because this is like the Medusa video. Yeah, it is. We talked about in October letting go, right? And the full moon showed us what it would be like to lose some people that we really care about. And it also showed us what it would be like to lose some people that we really need to lose. The problem with that is that because we behave about our closest people like Virgos, the one thing we know about Virgos is they like to hold on to things, even if they aren't good for them. They cling to the material, and Gemini are quite fun material, very shiny. So if we want to hang on to an energy that shouldn't be in our life, and the energy that we're hanging on to is an energy that likes to hang on, it would take a Virgo full moon to break that. Finally, really break it. And when that breaks, maybe it would be nice for someone to be in the comic book filter wearing a Pink Panther outfit and just making you laugh. Because that shit hurts, no? OMG. It hurts a lot. And we cannot get stuck now with useless pain. Gemini is a sign of forward movement. The reason I bring up that is to bring up what I was saying about Nassim Harameh and the book and why I'm here in San Diego. his work is the scaffolding on which my narrative and my book is based, which is the major arcana, and each arcana told as a chapter in the book, but the book altogether is a novel, but each chapter is a short story. And it's a story, but within that story lies all the key characteristics of that card, of that character, of that archetype, and how they relate to other archetypes that you have already gotten to know. But it is sci-fi in that the science is Nassim's and it is sound. And the fiction is my own. So I was here to just get his blessing, you know, just talk to him for a second if I could be so lucky, and just say hi, just say thank you, try not to freak out, try not to puke, you know, etc., etc. Almost puked, but it went really well, and he agreed to look over my work and help me if he can, which, you know, is kind of like, for me, like Tesla saying that he'll look at your book. Like, I'm really surprised actually that I didn't puke. That's like, I'm developing stronger nerves. Anyway, so that brings me to what is going on. I needed that full moon to happen the way it did so I could have what happened last night happen the way it did. Because if I was still in the muck of what was going on in my life, I could not have had this enormous advancement. And I don't mean just in terms of career, I don't mean in terms of the book, I mean for myself internally. Like, this scientist, this physicist is my hero. How many people get to meet their, like, actual hero? And, like, the dude's actually cool and is cool with you. So, new things. New things require the leaving of old things. Gemini can't leave anything alone until we understand it. The earth signs manipulate this about us. The water signs do it better. Aries is going to be so mad because we're not really doing a compatibility video. It's kind of like a like who to stay away from video. The water signs do it best. The water signs' ability to dupe the Gemini is unsurpassed. The earth signs' ability to allow Gemini to self-destruct and use them as a weapon of self-destruction, unsurpassed. Unsurpassed. And it's time, and it was time, to let them go. The February reading should have held you over for the most part. I know it hasn't been, but it just was because that reading needed to be revisited, because there was a lot more there towards the end that would apply now. But I can understand the anxiety, I can understand the restlessness, and I can understand whatever pain you might have gone through in the past few days surrounding your family and your loved ones and the connections that you have. But now, how do we move forward? I think I know. I think I'm living it. But I want the cards to tell us. I'm obviously proving to you that it's not that serious. But it is serious, yeah? We just can't take it too seriously. So what do we need to know? As this gorgeous weather approaches, as our season approaches, slowly but surely, as we feel the warmth coming back, finally. You know, we're spring's children. We miss the sun the most. Seems the farthest away from us. And yet the closest. We are such a beautiful juxtaposition. I think that's why everyone is so drawn to us. 3 of Pentacles. The earth sign that has been looming in your life is looking for something that they cannot actually handle. This is a very grown-up energy. If the earth sign in your life isn't like hella grown up, they're pretending. They're pretending. Let's see. 3 of Pentacles. If you're already finding yourself in that situation, if you're already finding yourself really vibing with someone and getting into a very comfortable sort of like relationship with them, great. Great. But let's see, because of what we know about the earth energy that we're dealing with, my first instinct is to not go with that. But let's see what else comes up. Let's clarify it as we go along. You know, instead of clarifying each card later, let's clarify. Yeah. The 6 of Wands in reverse. Someone who left who comes back. You want to leave, but you aren't doing it the right way. It's a mess, huh? 3 of Pentacles. 6 of Swords in reverse. Very few cards that make me like apprehensive in reverse. The 6 of Swords, to be honest, is one of them. Queen of Cups. It is important right now as a Gemini for you to become very aware of the female water energy in your life, especially if that woman is a Cancer. This woman has somehow been jilted, and it has something to do with you, or that you have been jilted because of this energy. Something that you thought, 3 of Pentacles, was very kind of, you know, done deal, I got this, like, don't worry about me. You know, don't worry about me, I got this, very overconfident. And then you have this 6 of, that's why I said the 6 of Swords makes me very nervous. There are very few cards that could come up with it that would make me even more nervous, but this is definitely one of them. Let's talk about the Queen of Cups for a second. So the Queen of Cups energy is an extremely powerful one. It is someone who is connected. It is someone who is connected not because she goes to Source. It is because Source comes to her. It's a completely different sort of clairvoyance. You can train yourself, you can meditate, you can do all these things and use all these modalities to, bottom of the deck, the moon. You can use all these modalities. That's why I said, if it's a Cancer, like, listen very closely to me right now. You can use these modalities to get closer to Source. You can find your winding path to Source. Source flows to the water signs. The water signs don't go looking for Source. The water signs came through those filters because they are the ones who can energetically handle being constantly bathed in the Source's presence. When you're dealing with a person who consciously or unconsciously, most times consciously, water signs figure it out pretty early in life, that the waters of Source flow to them, and therefore they are readily able to do what they want with them, they can become quite dangerous, especially if you are on the wrong side of them. The bottom of the deck is the Moon, and then the 2 of Swords, and then the Hermit. I don't know. Does this maybe look like the Virgo full moon that we were just talking about? So why would it still come up? Well, one, because the effects are going to last for the next 6 months. And two, because up until now, it has been incumbent on you to somehow either provide proof of your worth, amend your very mutable nature to become more like X, Y, and Z. All the burden of trying to figure out what's been going on has been placed on you. All the emotional responsibility of whatever you were involved in this could be a work situation, this could be a school situation, it could be a sibling situation. It's a situation in which your feelings are deeply involved. Okay, you're invested in it. So in that area, you've been feeling like the emotional burden, the emotional work that has to be done is falling squarely on you alone. You are deeply torn now about this figure. And I am for certain that this figure is deeply torn about you. And I think it's beginning to occur to everyone involved, myself included, that relationships, exchanges of energy, meaningful exchanges of energy of any kind, are not quite within our control. And if there is some method of control or some semblance of control over those aspects of our life, we decided on those way before we came here for a larger lesson that needs to be learned. What I'm trying to say is I've begun to have this really keen understanding that all our meaningful meetups in life were decided upon by both parties way, way, way before we got to this particular hologram to play this particular game or this particular level of the game. And some may view that as a fatalistic sort of attitude, like, oh, well, nothing matters that you do. No, absolutely, everything matters, because from the choices that you have already made for yourself, there are all sorts of lessons to be learned, and if you learn those lessons and branch off from the main narrative that you decided upon and gave yourself before you got here, the more you branch off, that narrative in a positive way, in ways that spiral upward, what you will do is you will enhance the knowledge of your higher self. The higher you will become smarter and smarter because you took what it gave you, the parameters emotionally that it gave you, and you built upward on those parameters, therefore making all of you, this you, 3D you, and higher dimensional you, smarter and smarter. Ensuring that the path that was chosen for you amends itself accordingly and becomes a higher level of lesson and puts you on a higher path because you're no longer resonating with the choices that you made before, because the choices that you made before you got here and the narrative that you gave yourself was incumbent on you being the same and staying the same. So if you remain the same and don't really learn much, then you just kind of can keep going like this. But as soon as you start learning from those things, taking what you need and leaving the rest, and not staying stuck in the Two of Swords energy, as soon as you actually start to break away from all of that and step outside of the narrative in really positive ways that actually feed input and feedback back into your original lesson to be learned and enhances it, and soon that lesson no longer becomes a moot point, doesn't need to be learned anymore, and you spiral into your next vortex of learning. That requires one, mobility, and this person is immobile. I think that's part of why she bothers me so much, because I'm just moving around all the time, and I also love to be really still, but this is not stillness. This is apprehension and anxiety, and she may look still physically, but her mind is going completely nuts. So whenever the Two of Swords comes up, we have to take a very serious look at how we are letting our nervous system take over our bodies. We are the sign that suffers the most acutely from all of the nerve stuff, from the respiratory stuff, from the neural stuff, because we are so sensitive and our nerves are so tuned in because we are the messenger sign. We are here to translate from out of the ether through our nervous system and out of us, as communication, that which is out in the ether. So our entire system is therefore designed specifically to enhance that capability. When you have this enhanced capability, things like 2 lunar events in a month, lest we forget, again, I did half the readings, as you know, in Jamaica, and as you may know and you may have watched, the moon card came up in every reading. This is a different deck. Now I'm in California. It's a week or something later. Here we have the moon again, because the cards are so serious about these 2 lunar events being such a big deal. So when you have this huge lunar event, these nerves that you have and the system that has been designed specifically to give you access to this electric, web of information around us. What happens when that electric web gets shocked with this lunar energy? What happens to us because we're so connected to the web? This happens. Perhaps even a little of this. You may find yourself at this time, Gemini, feeling almost as connected as a water sign. What do I mean by that? Our instincts are really good, especially for an air sign. We are, to be sure, the most spiritual and the most, let's say, not spiritual. The Aquarians will say, no, we're the more spiritual sign. Let's say the more experimental sign, right? So we already have this connection to this otherworldly stuff because we're always kind of venturing into that unknown, forbidden, the reasons that take us into those sectors of life are very different from the Aquarian pursuit. The Aquarian pursuit is that higher knowledge and, philosophical sort of meat and potatoes of it. They want to understand it and think about it and read about it and know about it and write about it and, talk about it. And it's great. We find ourselves in that very same company with a completely different outlook on the thing that they feel that they know a lot about. And the way that we do it is our path to that same knowledge and our path to that completely other way of looking at it and that totally, really sort of rare, beautiful insight that Gemini has into anything that we put our mind to. The reason that we have that other, insight is because our path there isn't to learn this thing and do this thing and for the sake of the thing, and it's, and that's a beautiful thing, but it's not our thing. Our thing is that we venture out of curiosity with a very childlike, wonder. We just like to step over lines and push buttons and cross over things and, oh, don't touch that, and why not, and what is this, and that curiosity leads us inevitably to the coolest stuff around, which is why Geminis are always, people, a lot on Twitter I've been seeing people who are adding me saying, how come Geminis always get such a bad rap? How come everyone hates us? How come everyone... Well, I think it's because we live in a society that for everyone is quite suffocating, but for Geminis is like being in a playground. What do I mean? I mean that for most of the population, rules and laws and social norms and etiquette keep them boxed in, keep them within the confines of a certain, society and a certain culture and a certain religion and a certain ethnic group and a certain racial group. And that's what it is, and they feel very deeply the pressure of then having to identify with that, be it gender, be it race, be it anything. The thing with Geminis is that's awesome for us that there's so many laws and so many rules, because we don't feel trapped in by them at all. We find them to be kind of superfluous and funny, but how fun to have a bunch of things to jump over that we don't really care about anyway. It's just like having like a theme park full of things that say don't touch this, and you can just go up to them and touch them and be like, ha ha, I touched it, don't cross this line, ha ha, I crossed it. So while the whole world is walking around going, oh, I would really like to do that, damn it, I can't, because there's a sign there that says I can't, or that social norm tells me that I can't like that thing, or I can't do that thing, or I can't publicly say, and then there's Geminis who are like, I can't do what? What'd you say? I didn't hear you say it again. I have a friend that used to ask me, why you want me to say it again when I know you're about to do the opposite? Because I just want to hear you exactly right. I want to hear you exactly right so I know exactly what the fuck to do the opposite. So tell me exactly what the fuck you told me that you think I can't do. I want to be accurate. So, this is why people don't like us. Because they're really... there's two reactions that people have to that. There's two reactions people are going to have to the fact that I'm wearing sunglasses and I have a Pink Panther onesie, and we're consuming medicine legally in the state of California. One reaction is going to be, I fucking love this girl. Like, legit, this bitch is my spirit animal, because what the fuck is she doing right now? And like, watch, that onesie's gonna be fucking hot fire in like 6 months. I know y'all have noticed that I always be knowing. And the other reaction is going to be, I just don't understand how she's doing so well. I mean, like, look at the shit she does. So unprofessional. Let's play mime. I'm in a box. I can't get out. So that's everybody else. And then there's us who are like, I'm in a box and I can't. Okay, I got out. So, is that also a box that I can't get out of? Let's go break that one. Is that also a thing that I'm not allowed to touch? Let's go touch that. Let's do this. So, of course, everyone has the need and the want, especially this person, who is so tied down by the social norms, so suffocated by what they are supposed to do, what they are supposed to have, what they are supposed to like, what they are supposed to want, how much money they're supposed to make. When that energy sees our energy, this is our energy. You know this is our energy, right? You know we're not very female. You know we're not very male. You know we're somewhere in the androgynous, amazing, like, I would wear this shit in Tokyo with my Nike, like with my Jordans. That's us. Like, it's not like a female, like, sexy, like, ooh, ah thing, and we're not like the, like Ju said, like, huh, guy either. You know, we're just like really cool. You know, we're just really cool. So when they come across that spirit, it can be really, really difficult. Sorry, the light was flickering on the screen. It caught my attention. It can be really difficult for them. It can make them feel This is exactly the feeling that makes people mad at us, because often Geminis find themselves going, but I didn't do anything. Like, I don't even know why those people don't like me. I didn't do anything. No, I was just being myself, you know? Well, the thing about being yourself is that yourself is out here doing things that all these people, like this person who's completely tied down by society, really want to do those things too. Everybody wants to do those things. Don't ever let anyone make you think that you're just this crazy Gemini who does all these crazy things and everyone thinks you're nuts for doing it. Absolutely not. They can judge you if they want, but don't let them get away with the lie that it's only you that wants to do those things and there's something wrong with you. You know what's much more disturbing is wanting to do those things which are basically benign. They're harmless. Like, we don't want to murder people. We're naughty. We're not evil. We're naughty. You know, we like to like fuck with things. Like, to me, what's much more disturbing is wanting to give yourself a little bit of that wriggle room with society and not allowing yourself that. And having such a rigid approach with self. That's what's disturbing to me. But people find it very disturbing that they are pressured into following the rules, and it really weighs on them and ages them and hurts them. And we get pressured and have the rules put on us, and we kind of just shrug it off and go, no, I'm not doing this. And everyone else is looking at you going, no, we all agreed to play this game. You have to play by the rules. And Geminis are like, fuck your rules. No, we don't adhere to any of these rules. We don't accept this. Where's this council? Who made these fucking rules? Why can't I wear this fucking onesie like that? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? I think it's mad professional. You guys need to laugh. We need to laugh and be lighthearted about the really deep shit that we've been going through for like 3 years. And the remnants of all the stuff. And now the full moon being like, oh, you got all the gunk out? Is there anything left? And you're like, nah, I'm good. You know, come on in. You could look. Everything's fine. I cleaned everything. And then it's the Virgo full moon. It's like the white glove full moon, you know? Looking with a microscope like, oh, you missed a few amoeba. So, if everyone has agreed to play the game, this is the game, society, yeah? If everyone has agreed to these terms and conditions, it's very hard on the personality that can't adhere to the terms and conditions. It's not that we don't want to. That's why we get so hurt and feel so misunderstood when people get mad at us. It's not that we don't want to adhere to society. I think every one of us harbors a very deep, secret need to fit in. But we just never will. We just don't. You know, and we realize really, really early in life that we don't. We're not like these late bloomers who realize much later in life that nobody really fucks with them. And like everybody thinks like something bad about them or whatever. You know, because all types of people who are so not self-aware, they don't realize that they're like a menace to other people. Like, they might not be bad people, but they're annoying as fuck or whatever it is. We realize very early in life where our flaws are. Because everyone is always just so ready to point them out. You know, I feel like because we are communicative and we're charming and we're easy to talk to, people sort of run their mouths with us and will say any type of shit to us. And we're like, you know, and then when you get that switch where the receptive, kind, I'm being really nice to you and sharing my mind with you twin is replaced with the, what the fuck did you just say to me? Twin, then people get, you know, people get really twisted up because it's that fitting within the rules thing. We are expected to be one way. And everyone has agreed to play this game where we act this one way. You are like this, you know? And there's just no such thing for us. We don't know what we're like. How are you going to tell us that we have to be this way as if we have any control over it? As if you have any control over the fact that you write differently every time you pick up a pen. You don't have control over that. You know, it's the frustration. We learn very early in life where our flaws are because people are so readily pointing them out. And we learn that the things that we are being faulted for are things that we cannot control, that we are being faulted for inherent qualities. You understand what I'm saying? When a person learns early in life that they are being faulted for their inherent qualities, what develops in them is a very interesting, very productive sort of callus. Because calluses are necessary. And they develop out of friction. They develop out of a need to protect, right? And certain calluses are needed. From taking Kathak for years, Kathak is an ancient Mughal dance form. I have this one at the center of the ball. So because of that, you hit the ground over and over again. So I have a callus at a certain point on my feet. And I'm just really happy that it's there and that it's never gone away because I need it. And it doesn't, and there's no, like, it's not cosmetically, like, ugly or whatever, so fine, just deal with it. It's very helpful to me that it's there. In the same way, Geminis develop early in life a very helpful callus between our very sensitive, very creative, very connected to the messages that we are supposed to be receiving self and society and social norms and all the earth energy here that wants to tell us what to do with the opportunities that we receive, and these opportunities are coming in super, super, super fast. Okay, I'll show you the cards at the end, right before the end, and we can look at them. When we feel the pressure from that outside world, that callus comes in very handy, because we learned at such a young age that the thing that people don't like about us is actually the thing that we really like about us. And we decide really early in life that we choose ourselves over society, and that society can go fuck itself, basically. And the envy and jealousy that develops then from society towards you is this. It's twofold. On one hand, the jealousy is that childish jealousy that I just mentioned. I wish I could do what they are doing. That looks like fun. The other jealousy is I wish I could think of what that person thought up. How did they do that? Well, the way they did it is they took the lines that you put around your mind and they broke them. And when they broke those lines, what rushed in was source. But those lines within us, to be honest, I don't know if you could say broke them, because they were never that sturdy with us, more just melted away. Any Gemini that you know that is rigid because they are incredibly uncomfortable being connected to source. Geminis are inherently very childish because we are so connected. So anyone who is, sort of anti all of this stuff is because when they connect with source, it is too painful for them. Yeah. So because we don't have those barriers and therefore have complete access to that creativity, and that same reasoning is why we don't follow the rules, this is a twofold sort of jealousy that then develops, and it's very potent and it's very dangerous. And there is a tendency even for Geminis to do it to each other. So that is something that you will have to think about this month, because it's not just about your family, and it's not just about your love interests, it's about your friends. It's about really having to call some people out, and judgment is about finally making those, in your mind, making those judgments that we really hold off on. Gemini is always wanting to hold off on making that final sort of say on someone, because we understand how much we grow and change all the time. So we, of course, want to leave that room for anyone else as well. So the door is always slightly open with us, and I think most people know that. that about us. So the Judgment card then is really powerful when it comes up in our reading, because it's not really our energy. We have a much more mutable, flowy, sort of non-linear gray energy, not so black and white at all. And the judgment is very much about, this is what's been decided, this is what's final, this is what I'm telling you, and this is how it is. And I think the Hermit card, and then the Ace of Wands, and then the Eight of Wands, and then the Judgment card, so this group right here, is a lot about understanding that once that earth energy, and this could be within yourself, you could have that need to adhere to the rules or to society's norms or what have you. Once that energy is pushed out of the way, then the opportunity and the speed with which that opportunity comes creates within you an energy where you have finally the gumption perhaps to speak up and say, okay, so this is enough. I don't really like this at all. I don't like anything about it, and I'm kind of really, really over it. And once you do that, this water energy, like, has been waiting on you, has been waiting for you, waiting on you, is just right there. It's right there. I'm kind of trying to skim over the part where we have the moon experience and we let that earth energy out of our lives. And it's difficult because for a lot of you, I know that regardless of what you tell yourself you're going to do, you're going to stay stuck in that energy because you just can't see your way out right now. And if you are worried that you will stay stuck in that energy, then there's a couple of things you have to realize. It's too easy to play with a Gemini's heart because the only people that can play with us is people that we allow to play with us. So if we've already given you the access or sort of, are being magnanimous enough to be like, sure, yeah, go ahead, try. We're allowing it. Nobody plays us. We play ourselves. We're too smart to get played. Nobody plays us. We know. And so this Judgment and the King of Cups is also about the endings of, certain things that need to end. We know when we're doing the wrong thing. We know when we know. So the Judgment card applies just as much to the internal life as it does to the external. So internally, you will have moments in March, and they've perhaps already started. I apologize for that, for not being there for that. I was really going through it myself as well. The thing about that is that Judgment energy is so not like us, like I said. So you have to now get on this very rocky boat, but it's rocky in a way that people who ride rough seas are totally used to, and it's no big deal. It's just super rocky to you, and it will continue to kind of throw you around like this until you come to this Judgment energy and make some real declarations and decisions. And whether you want to or not, by the end of the month, it's going to push you into that. What that has to do with the King of Cups energy, as far as I can tell here, is that either you have the Judgment moment and then the King of Cups energy shows up, or you have that Judgment moment between these energies where you choose and decide finally what it is that you want. And perhaps this is something that you decide internally. This is not something that you decide for the world, and perhaps not even to tell them. But internally, the struggle that's been going on with you may look something like love or attraction, feeling or flash, and these may be energies you've been going back and forth with for a long time, especially because Mercury is going to be retrograde. That's what I mean about the Six of Swords being in reverse. This is definitely Mercury retrograde in a lot of ways, a lot of things that you felt like you had left behind. Just your mind wants to revisit them. The full moon wants to shine light on them. This Hermit energy is, back in the mix again, being like, hey, think about, how this all relates to me and what happened with me. And so finally, this culminating sort of judgment energy when we get here, and its relation to the King of Cups, it's like really powerful. By the end of the month, you will really feel like you know what you want emotionally. You will just know. You're done with anyone who doesn't know, because when you know, then you're done with anyone who doesn't know. That's kind of the gag. The past 30 years, you may feel like you've been suffering with someone who didn't know what they wanted. But to be perfectly honest, neither did you. That's why you were mirroring them. That's why you even attracted them. You attracted somebody who was just as non-committal and immature about what they needed and what they wanted as you were. That's why you attracted it. That's why we attracted it. That's why we attracted it. So now when you know, then you attract people who know. Then you attract what you want because you know. We haven't known. And so we were attracting people who also didn't know what they wanted. We can all be miserable together. But now the Judgment card is a really, really good sign, because what it's indicating is that by the end of the month, you feel confident enough about what it is that you truly want that you can say it. And I think both of these energies will be very receptive to hearing what you have to say. I myself am very interested in hearing what you have to say, or hearing what I will say, for that matter. So, as you can see, 3 of Pentacles, 6 of Swords in reverse, Queen of Cups, the Moon, 2 of Swords, the Hermit, Ace of Wands, 8 of Wands, Judgment, King of Cups. So you can see how it all comes to a head at the end of the month. And I feel like this energy will be there to congratulate you. And I feel like everything that has you tied up right now, I feel like this Hermit energy will let you in, or show you that light, that lamp that's shining there in your face. It's going to show you, even though you don't want to see, it's going to show you what you need to know about them. And I feel like that's going to send you running here. Yeah. Be mindful here in terms of money. The Ace of Wands and the 8 of Wands. It's a good time for opportunities that will later make you a lot of money. It's a good time to meet people who work in pairs together, couples who work in companies together. It's a good time to figure out what's going on with your water sign friends who may, for one reason or another, be going through it. The moon and the lunar events are always a great time to sit in meditation, but not with this 2 of Swords energy, with a clear mind, not with 2 swords in your hand. The Hermit, being major arcana, is also a road sign. It's a road map. And what it's telling you is that the way out of the 2 of Swords energy is to really go within. You see, she may have a blindfold on, and you would think that means because she's not looking outward that she must be inward, but she's not. She's not inward. She's not in here. She's stuck in her head. She's stuck with these 2 swords. She's stuck with her thoughts. And the Virgo Hermit energy coming in as guidance there and saying the way you can get out of the 2 of Swords looping is to truly go within. What Virgos understand about meditation, about healing, has everything to do with their ability to tap into that same source that we tap into and relay information. They tap into and give healing. And so what the Virgo card here represents is that you can tap back into source and heal yourself of all this. You don't have to just keep dealing with something because you don't think that it'll get any better. All right, I'm going to do the extended now, but I think I'm going to do it down here so I have a lot more room. Thank you for hanging out with me in my onesie. Let me just talk to you about some event stuff real quick and about the extended readings. So, as of January 1st, the reason we couldn't get the readings to work, you know how we were all like, what's going on with the extendeds? Why won't they work in this country or that country? Well, it turns out they don't work anywhere anymore. It's like not a feature that's being offered anymore. So, paid content is not a thing any longer on YouTube. So what I've done is if you go to my website, right when you get there, there's an extended readings tab. And if you click on the extended readings tab, it'll take you to a site where all my stuff is there and you can buy the whole month, all the extendeds as a series. You can buy it by episode. There's no waiting for a link. There's no wait at all. It's instant. You just pay and you watch. There's no need to use PayPal. You can use any credit card or anything you want. It's totally secure and safe through a platform. So it's fine. It's so much better. But it won't pop up here as an extended, reading that you can access on YouTube because YouTube just doesn't do it. So sorry about that. But it's actually, I think the other way is better. I think you'll like the way it is. So check that out. Just go to my site, ambercon.com. It's below as well. And when you get there, just click extended readings and it will be there. So there's that. And then March 8th and 9th in San Francisco, we are at the Alan Bluford Center for Justice in Oakland, doing satsangs with Tattoo Vision, which is based in Oakland. Awesome. Shout out Alicia. Love you. And then in April, there's an event in New York City, and that event is more of a all-day workshop sort of thing, where we will be talking strictly about tarot. That is not a satsang situation. So satsangs are where you just ask me questions, whatever you want, and we talk about it, and we talk as a group, and we heal as a group. But the New York date is for people who really just want to learn about tarot. So there's that. And then my book is available for pre-order also on the website, and that should be out, inshallah, in May. And yeah, that's about it for now. I'm thinking about putting together a retreat weekend in Mallorca at a space, and if you guys are interested in that, please let me know in the comments below so I can work on that a little more if there's interest. Sort of a yoga tarot / weekend thing. Okay, I love you guys. I'm sorry it's a few days late. It's just we've been going through a lot. So parting words. Nothing is worth your peace right now when you have all this Ace of Wands, Eight of Wands energy coming in. Make your judgment moments, have them so you can move towards this prosperity, because anyone who's keeping you in the Two of Swords energy is actually stealing from your prosperity. And the thing you have to remember, the most important thing that you have to remember, is that when you are consumed thinking about someone, they are not thinking about you at all. When you start not thinking about them at all, they start thinking about you. So if the goal here is to switch things up, force yourself into a different space mentally and do what you need to do to further this Ace of Wands energy, because when you have the fire and you have the wood to burn it, you need to burn it. You can't just be looking at the two elements and being like, oh, should I? And anyone who's keeping you from doing that process needs to just get out of the way. You need to just get rid of them. Your time for alchemy is upon us, and anyone who's getting in the way of that process in any way just needs to be X'd out. Okay? I love you. Comic book reading. I will see you in April.